Well, hello. Good morning. How is everyone? Thank you very much for this invitation to speak at this luncheon. It's really an honor for me. And first thing I'd like to do is introduce you to some people who aren't elected officials. My partners in Columbia Waterfront LLC, Al and Sandy Kirkwood, and Steve Hansen. Joe Marie's not here today. George and Paula Diamond, and Steve and Jan Oliva. And then in mass, I would like to introduce you to all the people here working with Graymore on the project and have for a number of years. If maybe you could either stand up or raise your hand so everybody knows who you are, please. That's all you. And lastly, I'd like to introduce you to five of the most important people in my life, my sons, Ryan and Austin Cain. And they both work with me on one form or the other. You at least raise your hand. And my brother and best friend, Terry Cain, all the way from Beaverton. And my parents, Don and Jean Cain, who are here from Phoenix. And they live here in most of the time in the summer, which is really nice. And it's really nice to have them here. And these are the two people that I blame for making me feel like I can take on projects like this. Hold on, make sure. You know, one time they told me I should try to be president, and until this year, I didn't really think that was a good idea. Anyhow, a lot of people know that we've been working on this development for some time, 10 years, 10 and a half years, and almost the whole time we've been doing it, I've been telling people we're going to start construction in 2 years. And I'm not saying that anymore, and the reason why is because the new Vancouver waterfront is under construction now. And this is a drone shot that was taken just recently, and the central feature of the development is a park. This is the Queen of the West, waiting to take its passengers down to Astoria. You can ride on that for an 8-day tour for between $3,000 and $10,000 a piece. It's a nice thing. There's a new road going through the site, the Columbia Way, that we and the city built last year. And here we are. We're going right through the middle of the site. It's so nice to see this. You can see we have some things under construction there. I'm going to turn around, come back the other way, and you can see that we've got some excavation going on what's Block 8 first there. It's going to be a 160-unit apartment building, and then the next one is Block 6, and it's going to be 2 buildings. It's going to be an office building and a boutique residential building, and we're excavating the parking garages and using that material to raise up the restaurant buildings and the roads. Here's an overall look. And back on the waterfront, and the port's going to completely redo this terminal there, and it's going to be really exciting. There's going to be a lot more cruises coming out of here, and now you can see the park from the water. You can see that the city has already started construction of the first phase. They've done the grading, and you can see the path there. It's an asphalt path now, but eventually it'll be concrete and pavers. And then we come right to the end of Grant Street. You can see where the old pier was for Boise Cascade, where the barge docks pulled up there, or the barges pulled up there, and they blew pulp in to make paper. That's all coming out, and new pier is coming in there. A lot of people know us as retail developers, and in retail development, you need to have a good anchor for the project. And for us, our anchor is the Columbia River. What a better anchor than that, the most significant natural resource in the area. And along with that, the waterfront park will set the stage for the first buildings we're going to start this fall. And they're going to include these 2 buildings, which are restaurant buildings. That'll be right next to the pier. They're going to be 2-story buildings. They'll have up to 6 restaurants in it. There's some other shots of the restaurant building. This is from the back, looking from the pier. And this is showing both buildings. There'll be so much outside seating there. right south-facing on the Columbia River, and people aren't going to want to leave here ever, and we want to accommodate that. And so in Block 6, we're going to build 2 buildings, one residential building and one office building, so they can stay here all they like. And on the first level of these buildings will be restaurant space, retail space. This is on the first floor of the office building, and it'll be restaurant space that's looking out over the park and you'll see the water from there. This is the space underneath the residential building, and the same thing. It's just right there on the park, looking out over the water. And this is the top floor of the office building, and you can see the kind of view from the deck that they're going to get. It's just incredible. You know, what's so special about this development is the incorporation of all the different uses, the retail and the restaurants and the office and the residential with the park and with the Columbia River. I mean, it's so unique. There's nothing else like this in the Northwest. I hope you know that. And if you're looking for restaurant space, or if you're looking for office space, and if you're wondering right about now why your broker hasn't been talking to you about this, she's right here. You don't need your broker anymore. Sorry, Tamara. Okay, well, Tamara is representing the office space, so you'll eventually have to work with Tamara, which will be good. But this park is a lot more than just something that helps a good commercial development work. It's going to be the new entrance into Washington State. It's going to be a new face for Vancouver. It's going to be a place where it's going to be either the beginning or the ending of the Renaissance Trail. And it's going to be a place where everybody in Clark County will have in common. A place where you'll see everyone, because everyone will go there every year. You'll go there to show out-of-town guests. You'll go there to special events. Your kids will go there for the prom. You'll go to have family shots taken. And one other thing this is going to be is it's going to be a signal to the rest of the world that a new era has begun in downtown Vancouver. You know, the rest of the world doesn't necessarily have a great perception of downtown Vancouver. You know, it's not one of an active and lively place where people want to live and want to office and, you know, want to go to restaurants. Well, just look, you know, just at the neighbor down south. In the last 15 years, Portland's gotten thousands of new office, residential units, and they've gotten lots of office spaces, and they've gotten what seems like hundreds of new restaurants. And at the same time, there's just been a pittance of new development happening in downtown Vancouver. And you might wonder, well, why is that so? With Clark County having 20% of the population for the metro area, why isn't 20% of the urban development happening in Clark County? Well, I can tell you, it's not because the people here are less educated, make less money, or care less about culture, or more likely to have come from Kentucky. It's not. It's just history. And the history of this place, as you know, is that when the first Europeans came here, they settled here. And when John McLaughlin was given the reins of Hudson Bay Company at Fort Vancouver, he was told to go out and trap beavers and trade as many pelts as he could. And that's what they did for actually quite a long time. And then they laid down logs and had a sawmill. And people lived close to it because they had to for security and because they really couldn't get anywhere else. And then it transitioned to shipbuilding, wooden shipbuilding. And then in the early 20th century, it transitioned to paper making. And at that time, transportation was getting a little bit better, and people could go further away, and they did. They went and found better places to live, nicer places to live, away from the industrialized waterfront. And with that, the people and the business that supplied the goods and services to those people, they left too, and that further decline of downtown. This is what the property looked like, the waterfront property looked like 10 years ago when we first put it under contract with Boise. It's pretty hard to imagine, isn't it, how ugly that was. And it's pretty hard to imagine that anything else happened in downtown Vancouver at all. But things are changing now. The last obstacle that history put here is finally being removed. And while nobody needs to take responsibility for how things got the way they are, There's an awful lot that we can do now to increase the speed and to set the quality of what happens next. And that's what we and the city are doing now in implementing your community's vision to bring the waterfront back to the city. And that plan will result in thousands of more jobs on this waterfront than have ever been on it before in history. And one of the essential parts of the plan is to have a park at the waterfront. And we thought it should be a world-class park if it's really going to set the stage for the quality and style that it needs to do. And the way you do a world-class anything is you find other people who have done it before. And that's what we did. We went out and we found what we thought was the best landscape architect in the country to do this. We found PWL Partnership out of Vancouver, BC, and they do fabulous work. And the city agreed and hired them to continue the work that we started. And now, these aren't pictures of your waterfront, but these are things that PWL did. But now that's what's under construction, is what PWL did, and you're really, really going to love it. And then Jane Jacobson got involved. And no mediocrity, Jane says we have to get 2 other people involved to make this truly world-class. One was Larry Kirkland. Larry Kirkland is a really well-known public artist, and he's done things all over the country, and like I said, he's well-known, and it's very special to have him involved. One of the things he did that we saw dedicated about 1.5 years ago is the American Veterans Disabled for Life Memorial in Washington, D.C., and he was a big part of that, and it's really an awesome thing to see. It's right next to the Capitol. What Larry is doing for us is he's designed the pier that goes out over the water. It's a cable-stayed pier that goes out 90 feet, and it's a piece of art, I'm telling you that. He's also doing a water feature, and the water feature will be right next to the pier, and it represents the Columbia River Basin, and it's about 200 feet long, and you're going to love taking your kids and grandkids here to play in the water, and at the same time, you can learn something about the Columbia River and its tributaries. But if you already think you're smart enough, you can just have a glass of wine. The other one that was added was Charles Stone. Charles Stone is a lighting designer who has done some incredible landmarks in this world, like this, the 9/11 Memorial, like this, the tallest building in Dubai, tallest building in the world in Dubai. If you didn't recognize it, I didn't. And this, I recognized that one. So Charles Stone is going to be, for us, designing the lighting for the pier and for the water feature. And is coordinating the lighting for the rest of the park, so it will be just as beautiful as night as it is during the day. As you can see, no one here is holding back. We're going for it all. But this is not the beginning. We are trying to slam the door on the old era, that's for sure. But nothing that's being done now by the city or by us could have been done if the people before us hadn't started the change and done the important projects that really got things going, like redoing Esther Short Park, like building this Hilton Convention Center, like building the building next door that now the city's in, like the beautiful library you have. Names like Pollard and Oliva and Holmes and Kassab and Killian and Angelo, those are the names that you should remember as starting this process to get change done in downtown. People in Vancouver have seen these changes occur for many years, and so you knew they were happening. But now, the rest of the world will be put on notice with this new waterfront development and waterfront park. A flag will have been raised. A new era has started in downtown Vancouver, and the old perceptions of what downtown Vancouver was will be history. And with the obvious demise of the old era will come a rush to meet the pent-up demand. This reminds me of a few years ago, more like 15 or 17 years ago. We were working on a project in downtown Lake Oswego, and it was the first one to go in downtown Lake Oswego in many years, and people kept telling us, you know, people in Lake Oswego, they really don't want to live or work in downtown Lake Oswego, and they sure don't want to go to restaurants in downtown Lake Oswego. Well, I'll tell you now what I thought then. I didn't say, oh yeah? Well, wait till you see what happens next. Thank you. Thank you. One other thing, we believe that what's happening here on the waterfront is going to create one of the tourist attractions for the city of Portland and Vancouver, for this whole area. We think it'll be a top 5 tourist place that people go. And we think that people will come here and they will remember it and it'll stick in their minds, and that they will want to tell their friends about it. And what we've done to commemorate this day is to create the first edition of the Vancouver Waterfront postcard. And if you look in the envelope in the middle of your tables there, you can pull out your very own postcard that has a stamp on it, and you can keep it, or if you like, you can send it to a person or to a business or to a restaurant that you think should know about what's going on in downtown Vancouver right now. Thanks again.